Hello, welcome back to Mining Network. We're at PDAC and I'm with John Ski, the CEO of Mithril Resources. John, good to see you.
Yes, nice to meet you, Peter.
Just to begin with, why don't you just give us a real brief overview of the company and then we can dive into the different areas.
Okay, so Mithril is an ASX listed company, Australian Securities Exchange, and Mithril acquired the Copperkin project in Mexico in 2020, and that's when the board of management changed, and we had a focus on to gold and silver in the Sierra Madre trend of Mexico. So we started drilling there the middle of the year, and done about 2 years of drilling there, produced a high-grade maiden JORC resource, and haven't done much drilling the last 12 months or so, but getting through this difficult market that we have in the last 12 months, we had to abandon a merger with a Canadian shell in 2023. And since late last year, we've been suspended on the ASX, and while we recapitalize and do a capital raising, which we're happy to say we've completed, and that's now subject to shareholder approval. That meeting will be in April this year sometime, and then we'll be able to start drilling. The drill rig's on site, and we'll be able to start drilling again at our Copperkin property in Mexico.
Good. Okay, well, that's probably music to shareholders is that there's going to be some drill rigs on site, and I assume now that you're closing this financing, there will be running within the next couple of weeks or so?
Yeah, we can start drilling certainly within the next 4 weeks. By the time we mobilize people and get the drill pads ready, we'll be ready to start drilling and within about 4 weeks' time.
Okay, well, why don't we start off with just, I guess, going back over what's actually in the ground at the moment and what the strategy is, obviously, and I wouldn't mind touching a little bit on this financing, how much you've raised. So to begin with, why don't we actually talk about this financing, because then that will actually outlay what you're going to be using the funds for.
Okay. So the financing, a part of that is a 100-to-1 share consolidation. So we'll end up with the financing about just under 85 million shares on issue, and a very modest market cap of less than $10 million, but with a very high grade gold silver resource. And in that, we'll have about $3.5 million cash available to do our exploration work. So the first program of work, we anticipate drilling about 4,000 meters in and around the high-grade maiden JORC resource that we released at the end of 2021, which is just over 500,000 ounces gold equivalent, and at just under 7 grams gold equivalent head grade. So very high grade. One of the holes we drilled, one of the deeper ones there, was about 8.3 meters at 90 grams gold equivalent. It was a very high grade intercept, and we want to follow that up, and as well as extend the mineralization along strike. And we've also mapped a number of other structures there, which cross-cut the main mineralized features at this particular resource, and we know those do host some very high grades. So we'll be also doing some drilling to target those cross-cutting structures.
Good. Well, look, I think, so all those figures you were just talking there, Aussie dollar, I assume, so 10 million market cap, 3 million raised. So at the moment, 10 million Aussie dollar is, if shareholders could potentially get their hands on or get exposure to 500,000 high-grade ounces. Obviously, I think a lot of this is, obviously, last year there was the RTO and the potential merger, and do you think now that you're being recapitalized and you're now funded, obviously it seems like a very low market cap for what you have in the ground and the potential there. I assume you're hoping for a re-rate pretty soon.
Yeah, we expect, for certain, a re-rating in the short term, and then with a good news flow that we have going forward, because there's a lot of companies, similar market cap, a lot less cash on hand, and unable to do the work they need to advance their projects and get the interest. And we're fortunate that while we did have that big setback at the end of last year, we have managed to recapitalize, and that's because we do have such an attractive project. And the money we raised, came out of Australia, out of Europe, and very importantly, a lot of it came out of Canada. So we've got good shareholders on the register, and some good names there, and understanding that this is a very attractive project and it does have considerable upside.
Good. Okay, let's get our heads around the deposit a little bit. So 500,000 ounces, you were talking about around 6-7 grams equivalent, that's gold and silver. what's the depth? What's the widths? How attractive does this look in terms of the mineability of it?
With this particular resource, as we have it now, we did a mining study, conceptual mining study work on that after we put out the resource, and the average sort of mineable width's around 4.5 meters, and pretty much all of the resource came into a mining inventory, and that we can take advantage of the topography. So we can, because it's in a ridge, we can actually mine in at a lower elevation, a tunnel, and mine up into the ore body. So it's quite an efficient way of mining it. It's very minimal environmental footprint for this type of deposit. Because it's high grade, we don't need to process a lot of tons, and the mine waste would actually go back underground. So dry stack tailings on the surface, and so minimal sort of environmental footprint is what we've conceptualized for this type of deposit in the district. So.
And how far does this was it 3.5 million that you're sort of raising at the moment? How far does that get you? What are you looking to actually achieve with that and show shareholders value?
We'd like to do, in the short term, we want to do a 4,000 meter program, and that will demonstrate clearly, the continuity of the mineralization at the El Refugio deposit, which is where we've done most of the drilling to date, and also looking at some of these cutting structures, and then we plan to do another 5,000-6,000 meters after that to follow up from the success of that first drill program. So we're well funded to do that work, and of course we'll be relying on the success of this first 4,000 meter program, and we'll also be looking to see, a good positive sentiment towards gold and silver start continuing to grow as it has done, particularly over the last week. We've seen a good movement in the silver price, and all the metrics are there to sort of say that there's going to be a good strong performance in the precious metals over the next 12 months or so.
No, I completely agree. Obviously, hopefully it doesn't change in the short term, but obviously gold's looking like it's breaking out at the moment. Don't want to in a few days for it to draw back and me look silly there, but it looks like it's breaking out, so that's a good sign. In terms of the follow-up drilling, the 4,000 meters, you're saying cross-cuts there, but how much of that is really looking to expand the mineral resource at the moment versus looking to upgrade the current resource?
All of that would be to increase our ounces of the resource. So we're not doing any infill as far as resource infill drilling. It'll be drilling into some gaps where we don't have mineralized blocks estimated within the resource there currently. And so we expect that successful drill intercepts will add cumulative to the resource we currently have there.
Good. Okay. So obviously, talk me through the corporate strategy at the moment, because obviously you're doing this rollback. You'll now have a reasonable amount of shares out versus it's that common perception of Aussie companies blowing out the
shares.
Yeah. Now it's looking quite sensible in terms of the structure. You're going to be funded. What's the next steps for you guys? Obviously, you've got the drilling done. Is there still that inclination in the back of your mind that you would like to be listed in Canada as well, or have a secondary listing over there? And what value would that add if you were to do that?
I think, look, we definitely want to. We can see that the Australian market is very good. It's very good particularly for West Australian focused companies. I mean, West Australia is a phenomenal mining province. It's just it's incredible the number of resources that are there in all sorts of different commodities, and the West Australians like Africa as well. That's been a good jurisdiction for a lot of Australian companies, but the Americas hasn't been a real strong focus for ASX listed companies. Nothing like it is for Canadian companies. So we know from our experience. I mean, I've been involved in exploration in Mexico for over 20 years now, and the companies that we had on the ASX have all done very well when they've been, in some way, have moved into the TSXV space, and that's where most of the funding for those projects was sourced. And we can see the same sort of thing is going to be required for Koppelkin with Mithril. So we've been in strategic discussions over the last couple of months with a number of groups and promoter groups, companies in Canada, to look at how best we can, because ultimately what we want to be able to do is get access to capital to put into Koppelkin and grow the district, do the work that's necessary, which is which is a lot more than what we've done to date. So we're trying to look at where's that capital going to come from, and the most logical and well underpinned the sort of market to do that is in the Canadian market, because of the understanding of Mexico and the number of companies that are active there and have built their companies on Mexico gold and silver.
Okay, and so I guess you mentioned Mexico. What is the geopolitical situation in Mexico at the moment? It's always nice to get a bit of an update for someone who actually treads the ground and knows the communities around you.
Well, our mining concessions have been in existence for quite some time, and they're all got plenty of years currently on them, and so we don't. While there has been a bit of noise of changing some of the mining laws, and none of those have been actually put into law yet, and even still, if they are, we expect minimal impact on what we currently have there in Copperkin, with our underground sort of developable type resources there, and the well-established mining concessions that we have. But there is going to be a change of president later on this year. There'll be, in the middle of the year, there'll be the election. So we're expecting that if it's the same party that comes in, that the new president will be more business friendly, and expecting to see maybe a bit more positive sentiment towards mining companies and in getting things permitted and new concessions granted. So I think it'll be good for the mining industry as a whole when there is a change. But
how much does that impact you at the moment, though? Because obviously you're still in this exploration phase, and I mean, I guess how far away are you really from being able to show that this deposit's going to be large enough to then put some economics around and think about permitting? Is that still a way off, or do you think you're closing in on that?
No, I think we're not far away from that. As far as it depends on how we want to develop this property. So if we want to try and get something and put it into production in the near term, then we can fairly quickly double the resource we have there, get at least half of it into measured and indicated, and then it would be you could do an economic study around that and demonstrate that it is feasible to mine it, and then go through the processing, the permitting route from there. But I think because it's such a large district and there's so much upside there, I think it'd be better to maybe do some study work on that round million ounce sort of type size resource, but keep doing the exploration and keep demonstrating the district scale upside that's there for the Copperkin district. So
no, I agree with that, and just you've had some experience sort of with creating district scale potential, haven't you? I wouldn't mind actually going a little bit into detail of your past experience and also a bit about the board that you've put together as well.
Okay. So a project in Mexico that we with another group of guys, I was intimately involved in that, which was Madre, which is about 200 kilometers north in the same trend, and first started drilling that in 2004, and within a couple of years had mostly measured and indicated resource and about 3 million ounces gold equivalent. It was a very, very attractive resource. It was a bit lower grade than what we have at Copperkin, but a big resource there. There was only one historic mine there in that district, and there was several majors wanting to acquire it. It was acquired by Core Mining and that was completed at the end of 2007. They put it into production within a couple of years after that, and that district now has grown into with what they produced there and with reserves and resources about 4 million ounces of gold and 240 million ounces of silver. So that demonstrates how these districts can grow from no drilling that would been done there to having that sort of endowment of gold and silver resources. So when we saw Copperkin, we saw this as another potential Palmarejo type district. Only difference there is that there's about 70 historic mines and workings all across the district. So all this noise at the surface, and we're expecting that there is a very big epithermal system there for gold and silver.
And how much of this is about, I guess in the short term, a lot of this, obviously this drill program is about expanding the current resource and that project. But in terms of your license area, how much potential is there to discover more, or when you're talking about district size potential, that often in my mind thinks multiple deposits over a licensed area, and that you could sort of hub and spoke, and it's a real large complex. Is that sort of what you have in mind?
Yeah, I mean, it's 70 square kilometers, so it's 10 kilometers wide by 7 kilometers north-south, and there's quite a strong trend across the middle of the district, where there's several kilometers of historic mines and workings all along there. You can see in the geology all the surface alteration there, as all the indications that it's a big system there. So with some of those multi-level mines that are along that central part of the district, there's probably maybe another 2 hydrothermal upwelling zones there, like the one we have drilled at El Refugio. And then on the other side of the district, there's probably at least another 2 there on the southern side of the district. And then up to the north, there's 3 large alteration areas up there where there's been no exploration work, and that's all upside, So yeah, it could be quite a big district. Not dissimilar to say Palmarejo, which is probably I think 5 different mines there now, and some of those have been mined out. But there's
And are you the only one in this district currently doing work? Are there other people sort of exploring this potential?
Yes, Fresnillo is active in the region, so they have the San Julian deposit just up the road from us, and also a couple of underground mines that are not far from this as well. There's also Guanajuato Silver Company, Endeavour Silver are active around us. So, and also Luca Mining has just put a mine into production at AuEq, which is not far from us. So there's a few companies in production. There's not a lot of exploration going on around us. Pan American Silver is just drilling to the north of us, earning into a Radius Gold project with some great results there. And so we've got this district to ourselves at the moment.
And I guess with a few producers around you, is there any potential for toll milling or sharing infrastructure? Is there anything to cut eventual capex costs down the line, do you think, or is this something you're going to have to build up yourself?
I think with a lot of these districts within the Sierra Madre Drain, because it's quite mountainous, and the roads, they're fairly windy roads, and while it might be, as the crow flies fairly close, the time to drive there might be a day or 2 days, so probably not really toll treating type scenarios. I think it'd be better to produce metal on site and get the maximum value.
Okay, and any met work at all on the resource
yes,
so far?
So with the drill core that we produced at El Refugio, we made some composites up that were similar grade to the resource, and we did some, based on our experience with Palmarejo, we used the same flow sheet, the same reagent regime there for flotation and cyanidation, and with that first pass test work, we got 91% of the silver and 96% of the gold into solution. So we're expecting no problems there with metallurgy.
Yeah, pretty easy. Okay, good. I guess that just the way that I'm sort of looking at this at the moment, and we sort of touched on it at the very beginning, is obviously you had a really tough year last year, and I think that probably represents the market capitalization more than the actual previous work that's actually been done, right? So, and I know we spoke about this, but it seems as though you're in a pretty good position now that you're recapitalized and you're funded. You should hopefully be scoring some goals and actually progressing a bit in this year.
Look, we just want to put out some more of these high grade intercepts that we've done to date. In July 2021, one of the holes, hole 77, was the 7th highest grade gold intercept reported globally in 2021. So we want to follow up that particular drill hole. When we first started drilling in 2020, when the market was hot for gold and silver, and gold got well over $2,000, Mithril's market cap went up over $100 million after only drilling 2 holes. So it shows how it's all driven by the market sentiment. But while we're focusing on a super quality project, and which can yield excellent results, already has a high grade resource. So we just keep focusing on that. That's our differentiator in the market at the moment, and then we're just looking for the market sentiment to to change and to get the valuation more appropriate from what we have there.
Perfect. John, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Please.